Some of you have mentioned in your registration that you're a coach in training. Some of you have mentioned that that you're different, working in a different industry, and you're just using it for your own personal development. But the certification is an integral part because it is certified by the International Coach Federation. So if you are taking that path, then there's a lot of incredible support and elements that we're going to be looking at through the certification process. If you're just looking at it for your own development and your own sort of self-actualization, then this is just kind of a complementary piece for it as well. And coaching can be used in many different aspects outside of being a coach. Teachers use coaching, different professions use coaching, parenting uses coaching. So we're going to be looking at all of those different elements. Then we're going to be looking at the support. So because it is a year-long journey, the support goes in different directions, from online to live sessions. And we're going to be doing a deep dive into what kind of support you can expect from myself, from Davella, from the community and the cohort of which you may be joining, and being able to look at what that journey of support looks like. And then, of course, we'll end with what are the commitments and next steps for us to be able to move forward after our session today.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you, Renee, for sharing all of that. So this is us. So, yeah, I'm really inspired. Actually, we are doing a 100-day practice as part of the program, and Renee, your practice is to actually connect with the earth with your bare feet.
That's right. Doing some grounding. Yes, those are my feet.
Yes. So it's really wonderful to have that. Would you like to share a little bit about your journey, Renee? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a mindfulness practitioner by training with the University of Toronto, and I'm also a certified coach with ICF. When anybody asks me what it is that I do, I always say that I'm a social worker, even though I wear a hat of a facilitator, a coach, I'm a consultant, because essentially every aspect of my career has been about servicing to others. And there was a point in my career where I also left my career and spent 2.5 years in a contemplative convent in Italy, which really opened up the pathway to mindfulness for me. After returning from that experience, I got into coaching and have been dedicated to it since I've been, 34, so almost 10 years now, looking at being a coach and going through different trainings with different organizations to be able to get that certification, but also be able to get that knowledge that is so important when developing out that kind of practice. So there's a lot of different elements, and because we are actually just finishing up a cohort of coaching from within, I started a 100-day practice of doing grounding. And this is earth grounding, and every day I spend 15 to 20 minutes with my feet to the earth, so to speak. And I'm thankful that the weather's getting warmer because we started it sort of early spring. And this is really just a way for me to deepen my own practice, start taking care of myself as well, with all different commitments, and just be able to model the importance of having a mindfulness practice and knowing how that can actually enhance what it is that I do in the day-to-day, whether it be parenting, whether it be coaching or facilitating. It always anchors me and helps me to get clarity of mind and focus.
Wonderful. So really inspiring, and as you may all hear, this 100-day practice is one of the elements of our program that we are fully participating in. We are actually learning with everyone together. Each cohort has its own signature, its own growth, and there are no moments alike, and yet we all come with it as with a beginner's mind. So I couldn't really put my hands, but there is a little bit of symbolism there. I am now in a village near Beijing. I've been here for a month now, and really connecting with earth and doing some gardening, planting tomatoes and so on. My 100-day practice has been doing Qigong for an hour a day, and I am now on a 70th day or so. It's been very inspiring. However, there is a reason why there are hands there. Basically, what I am teaching during this program is my own model that I brought into life through 7 years of working at the Beijing Mindfulness Center and with the mindfulness practice and working with the community. Somehow this model began to shape itself and came through life. 3 years ago, I presented it at ICF Converge, the time when all ICF coaches gather together, and it was just before COVID has hit, and I presented this hands-on model. So it's one element of our program. It gives a rough reference to what we are doing, although it's actually made to really help everyone to find their own signature coaching within mindfulness practice. And I personally started as a facilitator as well. I worked in management training and consulting since 1995, and then started to explore internal martial arts in '99, and that started to shape everything that I began to do. I transitioned into coaching in 2003. I took my first coach training, and then another one in 2004, and then another one in 2007, and then another one in 2015, and it just kind of like started to bubble all like that. And this led me to finally transitioning, becoming a full-time coach. Coaching is not an easy practice to suddenly transition full-time into coaching. And I actually found enough stubbornness, I would say, and enough facing of my fear to drop some other work that I was working. And I am a full-time coach now, and at the same time a mindfulness practitioner as well, and working at the Beijing Mindfulness Center. So BMC Academy is now a legal entity since beginning of this year. So it's a company set up in Hong Kong. It's BMC Academy. BMC stands for Beijing Mindfulness Center. So a lot of inspiration through all of this, and I'm together with Renee really inspired to bring both of our angles and approaches to both mindfulness and coaching in this program. Oops, not maybe this way. Let's keep moving forward, as we would say. So a little bit about BMC Academy. The key focus and approach is for BMC Academy to provide mindfulness-based training for professionals. And we may say this is a beginning point. There is an idea of bringing mindfulness for those who would want to become teachers, and perhaps even therapists. But right now, really, coaching is taking the full space of BMC Academy. And marrying these two skills with each with its own toolbox, and there is such a beautiful combination. The purpose of BMC Academy is really to become catalyst for awakened consciousness. We live a difficult time. There is so much that we are called on to bringing these skills. There is no hesitation. I feel we really need to act now. And I am really hoping through this program and everything that BMC Academy is doing that we all take that responsibility to act in the world and for the world, which is primarily beginning with us, so that we are not only approaching with training ourselves to become coaches so that we can work for and coach others. We are primarily working with mindfulness so that we can cultivate our own embodied practice. And that is really the signature of the program. How can we, through our own practice, naturally begin to support our clients? So the mission of the BMC is it's really about creating the safe space and related to mental, physical, and spiritual health, and emotions are at the core of this program. We don't go straight into it from the module 1. We are kind of like preparing ourselves really how to address emotions. We are really looking into how we can connect with earth consciousness, how we can become open-minded to really fully implore in diversity and inclusion of especially those who are being in the minority groups. So compassion, authenticity, and continuous learning and growth are our guiding values. And we use mindfulness as the foundation for everything we do. And coaching competencies are something that are very much the key aspect of the International Coach Federation. We will talk about them a little bit more, not into details, but it's really important to know that even though you would maybe not choose to go further for certification, the whole program is really holding all International Coach Federation competencies that give us the guidance in ethics and how we are actually approach to our clients and humanity in general. And our roots are really the Beijing Mindfulness Center. In the blurry background there, you can see the image of part of the building. So I'm looking forward for it beginning to operate again, and perhaps sometime soon, it seems. All right. Okay.
Fantastic.
Go ahead,
Great.
Renee. Yeah.
Thank you, Dalida. And so, what does this journey look like? We've been able to sort of provide sort of those foundational pieces about where it's come from. And so, when you step into the journey, basically the highlights of the program are about being able to ensure that, one, we are partnering with our clients to create a safe space and a nourishing environment, to deepen awareness around self and around what their choices are, and to also help to facilitate learning and growth. Now, that is a thread that connects all 4 of these different modules. And we're going to go into a little bit more depth about these different modules. As you can see, the images on the side represent sort of the 4 stages. But there are 87 hours of learning that are required. It is self-paced learning as well. We have a scientific site where you log in with your credentials, and then you're able to do your self-paced learning sort of individually in between the live sessions. And it's important that if you were to register, that you're really present for those live sessions, and that the learning is done previous to coming on to the live sessions, primarily for two main reasons. One is that we keep on building on the content. And so each of the theory that is added in each of the different lessons builds consecutively onto one another. And so that learning and that growth then deepens. And then within the live sessions, we apply the learning in the practice. Okay, so there's the coaching clinics, and there's also your personal practice. In those live sessions, you come together as a cohort, and within that time together, we are able to really apply the theories and the models that we're learning throughout the week into an actual coaching session with your cohort. So you're able to observe, you're able to be coached, and you're able to be a coach as well. And all of those aspects of learning really deepen the experience. So we feel like this blended approach is a really great way to meet people's own life demands that they have. A lot of people have work, a lot of people have different family commitments. And so this is a way of giving that flexibility, but also bringing in that element of community. And so we're really honoring sort of those individual journeys that people are on, while simultaneously bringing people together to ensure that they feel supported throughout the journey of learning and growth as well. Toledo, is there anything you'd like to add on to that?
Yeah, maybe we basically it is approximately for online program. It is 50%.
Yes.
50% is self-paced, and 50 would be um, live sessions. And it is important that all live sessions, as you mentioned, are attended. And then there is also a face-to-face program. We don't have the date for that program yet announced. I'm curious if anybody in Beijing would be interested in that, and where we go with the cohort. Slightly different. We would have, it's a 3-day, each module is a 3-day training. So it is all face-to-face with access at the same time to the online learning. So in a way, there is maybe a space after the program or before the program even to access that online material and go with it. It's a little bit of a different structure when it comes to face-to-face. It's less linear. It's more kind of like morphed into co-creating and of course, as any other face-to-face program. So we have a participant of current cohort of face-to-face program. We will ask her to share a little bit about that. And I'm not sure if anyone from the online program has joined us tonight.
Not yet.
Not yet, yes.
Mm.
So that's
Okay.
all I would like to share regarding this. And maybe we can talk about the program itself, right?
Yeah, M1, absolutely.
Yeah.
The program is really intentionally created to be able to deepen the connection between mind, body, and heart. And it's done in a way where we first focus on the mind presence. And this is really about the neuroscience and how neuroscience connects with mindfulness and coaching. So we look at the connection and the parallels between coaching and mindfulness, really drawing in the competencies of ICF, but also those really fundamental elements of mindfulness, and how you can actually bring mindfulness, knowing that it's going to be different for everybody within your own style, to be able to bring it and apply it in with the time that you're with your clients. We do set the foundation around the code of ethics and the competencies as well. And a lot of M1 is really wrapped around the hands-on model that Dalita had mentioned in the introduction. And so we take the competencies and beautifully complement the hands-on model with regards to providing a structure of really how to embrace these types of conversations when it's looking at focusing on the mind of who it is that we are in a coaching conversation with. And so the mind is our starting point. It is a requirement that everybody complete M1, perhaps before going into the other modules, because it does lay the groundwork. It lays the foundation to be able to build on the somatics. And when we're looking at different aspects of trauma, which we'll go into, and then, of course, the heart presence as well. And so when we're doing the mind presence, we embrace the 100-day mindful day practice to ground us. We look at the theories around the neuroscience, and then, of course, the pillars of the ethics and the competencies, along with the hands-on model for the structure as well.
Yeah, wonderful.
Mhm.
And so from module 1, we go into something that could be even shaping your personal approach further. You might be choosing to work more in somatics, or you might be more interested later in kind of like looking at more as approaching using compassion to facilitate growth of clients. And all of these skills are actually intertwined. So we do address them in each module. You can almost see that the progression is in a way deepening the skills rather than doing it as a separate entity. So there is a bit of a story with it all. In the module 2, the key is we are looking at is why clients have resistance to growth. A lot of times, even you probably know, even with your own practice or New Year's resolutions, they don't stick. It's very easy for us to go and say, yes, I'm going to do this. However, resistance just comes up naturally. We address that to a certain extent in module 1. But in module 2, we look into how we can use somatic coaching and somatic regulation when it comes to resistance. So how do we deepen somatic awareness? And for all of that, our personal practice is really the key. How can we enable clients to really fully step out of the story and drop into now, into the presence? And we also touch into, once when we actually go into that space with somatic coaching, is very easy to tap on some memories that will bring maybe trauma to resurface. And now one of the key topics that when it comes to coaches is that we need to be very careful not to do therapy. And this distinction between coaching and therapy is something we are learning on the way. However, when we do somatic coaching, likelihood that our client is going to be triggered is quite high. So we actually learn how to be prepared for that, not to necessarily only coach through trauma. It is possible. However, for that there would be some deeper skills that you would need. There are therapists, there are counselors who are interested in this program. Of course, they would have a different approach. Although when it comes to ethics, we also learn how can we work with clients if we are engaging with them through coaching, and then there's sudden need for maybe therapy. Can we shift or not? So all of that we learn. We address these ethical dilemmas as well. The difference between coaching and therapy is explored even in more depth in the third module, which is another approach when we go into compassion, when we bring compassionate approach, when we provide this deep, heartfelt sense of connection with clients. They can also tap into the parts of their psyche when they have not felt loved. which can again bring emotions, and emotions can resurface. So as participants of this program, we are actually doing double role. We are working as a client as well as a coach in all our practice. So in a way, we are actually moving together with our personal topics, and as we are becoming more and more skills, we can bring topics that are also a little bit deeper. So a lot of coaching, you would expect a lot of coaching to happen in the module 1, maybe first just warming up and preparation. So from module 2 and module 3, we are really going into deepening our skills, how to use not only active listening, but how we can use global listening. And this language of coaching and mindfulness also becomes quite a signature of the program. We can have a maybe Q&A later. Of course, I can sometimes talk a lot about the program, but right now, let's say maybe this would be some key elements that can help you to understand what these two modules really bring.
And an important element of any, I think, program is how do we apply it, right? How do we integrate it into our day-to-day, into the direction that our career is going? How do we take that feedback and really put it to practice? And so in the 4th module, it's really about that. It's about deepening the practice, getting more feedback, presenting your mindfulness-based coaching approach so that from the cohort, you will learn from all the other participants in the group about what their practice is. So it's another aspect of the blended learning that we really feel is so important, because it also gives the participants an opportunity to then share everything of that journey to the others within the group as well. This certificate will enable you to apply for your ICF credentials, and we'll go through the process of what that looks like in a minute. And that this module is really only open to those who've actually completed both 1, 2, and 3. And so this is sort of the completion of the journey, so to speak, and a way to be able to have that sort of more of a graduation ceremony for you, and congratulate on such a year-long journey of module 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, wonderful.
So ICF,
Yeah.
Davida and I have both taken different ICF courses and experiences. And if you go on, of course, the ICF website, there's a whole host of different learning sort of opportunities. But one thing that, of course, connects all of these learning opportunities together is the certification path. And of course, ICF stands for the International Coach Federation. They are a global federation, very well respected and renowned for the quality of their membership and the quality of their coaches as well. And for many reasons. And the reasons actually begin with what the requirements are for the certification path. So with this program, we are looking at it being completed over a minimum of 6-month time period. And of course, with this program, it's 4 modules in total over the course of a year. The graduations from what we call the ACSTH program path, because there's 2 different paths that you can take to get certified. But even as we are speaking, ICF is updating how they're doing that path as well. So we can maybe get into that a little bit later on. But for those of you who are just starting your coach training, this program will, of course, enable you to get an ACC credential, which is 60 hours of training, and well on your way to obtaining your 100 hours of coaching. So in order to get an ACC, which is sort of the first level with ICF certification, it's 60 hours of training with a program such as Coaching from Within, and 100 hours of coaching with the client. Part pro bono you can do, and paid as well. And so for the next level, for those of you who have your ACC, their PCC is the next level, which is 500 hours of coaching and 125 hours of training in order to reach the ACSTH path. And so for those of you who are kind of course, interested in getting that training and that certification, there's a process of documentation that you would need to collect and submit with your application to ICF, along with the coach knowledge assessment, of which they are, of course, as we speaking as well, updating and are requiring that people take this coach knowledge assessment. And this is just to be sure that they are certifying coaches that they feel are ready to be certified. And they will test that using the coach session, a recording of a coaching session of about 20 to 30 minutes. So you'll have a year to be able to prepare your recording and work with Davella and I on that process. And of course, use the live sessions to do your practices. And there's a lot of support around getting you ready for that certification at the end of the program.
Thank you, Renee, and especially for sharing this as we speak. There are some changes coming in. And first change, I think these acronyms, ACTP, there's ACSTH, all of that is actually in the process being updated and changed. There will be actually much simpler kind of like division on how it all works. That all of that will happen by the end of the year. At the moment, BMC Academy has accreditation within this acronym. But soon there are three levels. There's level 1, which is for ACC, level 2 for PCC, and level 3 for MCC, which is Master Certified Coach, that is requiring 2,500 coaching hours. All of this at the moment is such, to be honest, it took me 10 years to figure out all of this as I was going through credentialing, and it's only now by training coaches that is becoming clear to me what it actually all means. Each one of you is going to receive a very personal attention, and any questions that you might need to be answered, we are here to give a little bit more clarity. ICF is also constantly sharing a bit more information for all of us to understand the whole system. Quality of coaching and also competencies-based coaching and ethics are really important, because coaching is a new profession. It is very easy for anyone to call themselves a coach, just based on the skills that we acquire, and that is still possible. We are all kind of like assuming that the industry is going to be changing and certification is more and more important. Now, there's other part of certification that also, if you're not interested in ICF accreditation, it does require additional payment as well. I would highly recommend, and we are here to actually enable you to go and take that exam, especially this coach knowledge assessment is changing. They're upgrading the level of difficulty, so nobody quite knows how it's going to look like, but we know that it's going to be quite challenging. So they're increasing the rigor in who can pass. At the same time, BMC Academy also provides the certification. Attending the modules is not enough for you to receive the certificate from BMC. However, along the lines, when you finish watching all, going through all learning, self-paced learning portal, you are actually going to receive one certificate that you have completed that. And as you finish modules, then at the end you will receive the one official full program certification. you will need to finish 100 days practice, which means that the continuous practice, when you don't drop a day, when you drop one day, the whole structure works, that it's a mindfulness practice that you choose. However, if you drop one day, you start recounting and you go until you can make it in continuous practice of 100 days. You will need to attend a 5-day silent retreat anywhere, teacher-led silent retreat. It can be with Beijing Mindfulness Center. It can be with any other group that you feel connected with. And a mindful self-compassion program also that is either done through Beijing Mindfulness Center or through the Center for MSc. They deliver worldwide programs online and face-to-face. So your coaching skills, it's required for you to have 100 hours of coaching. This can be only peer-to-peer coaching hours. This is for BMC Academy. With ICF requires 70% paid coaching hours and 30% can be pro bono. Now, paid coaching hours can be, there is no value in how much you are paid. So you could be paid 10 RMB or 10,000. It's not important for ICF. However, they are acknowledging that this is important. It's a career, so we go through that discomfort also on how we charge clients and what are our hourly rates and so on. Mentor coaching sessions are also, actually, this is a new, I just 2 days ago found out that we are required to offer mentor coaching sessions for the cohort that attends this program and for all those who are going through ACC credentialing or this initial first 100 hours. There are 10 mentor coaching sessions and 7 hours of these mentor coaching sessions. 7 hours are group sessions and 3 will be individual. In mentor coaching sessions, we specifically focus only on competencies. So there will be each mentor coaching session is going to be specifically addressing one competency, and we will be talking only about competencies then. And the last requirement is that you actually present yourself as a coach through BMC community, either online or face-to-face. You will be presenting a topic of your choice related to mindfulness and coaching. And then we will be also looking into how are we contributing to the community, choosing some pro bono hours, and supporting the cause related to your own choice. All of that is something that we are addressing more for the Module 4, and all of this is actually the content of. This is when we are consolidating everything. Module 4 doesn't have any content. It is all practice-based. All right, I know there's a lot of information. We are going to share this recording. You can pause wherever you feel like you want to pause, and there might be some questions already coming in. I think maybe right now we can actually go into alumni reflection. So maybe I can share a little bit. One cohort has completed the full journey. This is actually the cohort that enabled BMC Academy to be accredited, or this program to be accredited. Then there is one cohort that has additional 1 session to actually complete the online. One cohort is about to start the second module. We were supposed to actually already finish it, but we decided to wait a little bit. So the next second module is face-to-face on 17th of June. All cohorts will be coming together during mentor coaching. Although mentor coaching can have maximum 10 participants. So depending on how many people who want to at any given time to connect for mentor coaching, we are going to be seeing how that will be structured, since it's a fresh information. Renee and I will be deciding on really on the timeline for mentor coaching. And then coaching clinic time is time when we connect purely just for practice. And there will be some feedback, not for everyone, but this is when you will be kind of like mingling and connecting in between cohorts. And at the moment, we have participants in current cohorts from China, Germany, Serbia, Russia, Canada, and USA. This is the online. I actually, in terms of nationalities, the one that we are doing face-to-face, we are all based in Beijing, of course. And current profile of our alumni are people who are already either certified coaches or are completing some training, coach training program in some other capacity. However, they're interested in having mindfulness as their part of their coaching. There are professionals, so people who are not necessarily interested in, as Renee said, in certification. They are more interested in applying it professionally in their own work. So leaders, business owners, therapists, teachers, and so on. There are somatic practitioners, yoga teachers, qigong practitioners who are particularly looking how to apply coaching and mindfulness in their practice. And of course, there are mindfulness practitioners. At the moment, we are actually mainly promoting or wanting to attract those who do have some beginning in mindfulness practice, or those who already have coaching practice, because only having two skills to come and go through learning can perhaps there is no readiness for that. So we are actually going to be interviewing and connecting with each one of you individually if you are interested in the program. And it will also be a chance for you to ask even more questions, and also for us to see, is there chemistry? This is also a process that we as coaches are required to do, to have a chemistry meeting before we can engage with our clients. So the whole program is actually made to, Renee and I use coaching style as our facilitation and teaching style. So we use coaching approach, and it's also embedded with mindfulness as the practice. So I also know that at the moment, I think Davella, I don't know if anyone else is there from other cohorts, but Davella, would you be okay to share a little bit your attending a face-to-face program? So a few thoughts on from your side on how are you going through it. So microphone is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy to share. So my name is Davella. I used to be an English teacher, but but after getting to know coaching, I realized that coaching is what I actually want to do. I don't want to do teaching. So I resigned from my teaching job, and I learned a coaching program previously, which is very different from this one. At that time, that the first coach program I attended was mainly focused on, mind. It's more like logical thinking. So I feel like that one or most of the coaching programs focus on logical thinking. That, of course, that's a very useful skills. But I always know that I want to do mindfulness coaching. So I was juggling to find a way to do mindfulness coaching until I realized that there is this ICF accredited mindfulness program. I realized that I don't need to figure a way out. Somebody already have done a lot of work for me, so I only need to follow their instructions. And of course, everything is done according to ICF's competency, so that you know how to use mindfulness, you know, in a correct way, so that you are on the right track. That, and you know, that gives me a lot of confidence. And of course, the 100 days practice is very, very, very useful, I would say, because I want to do I want to keep doing mindfulness practice for a long time, but I usually gave up. But you know, doing this in the community, like sending to the community what you have done or how many days you're in, that is so useful. I'm now on the 55th day of my daily practice, and I've never done anything for such a long time, and that's just amazing. So yeah, I still have a lot to share, but I guess that's what I want to share for now, and I will save some time for others to share and ask questions.
Thank you so much, Davella. And I think maybe we can also all be available. I'm aware of the time as well. We are wanting to keep these short within the hour. Of course, it already looks like we're going to go a little bit over. I know some of you need to sign out. So we are going to talk about the next steps right now. If you have any questions, please send them in the chat so that we are prepared. Renee will share a little bit about the next steps. Yeah. And then we will also stay online if there is any other need. But as I mentioned, we will be also connecting face to face with all interested. So go ahead, Renee.
Yes, so a lot of information to take in. And we are looking at, of course, what we were looking at for the summer cohort are the dates starting July 7th to August 18th. And that's once a week for 2.5 hours online. And those 2.5 hours are the live session. And then, of course, you'll have an hour or two of learning during the week to be able to build your knowledge and insights throughout the course of that time period. So for registration purposes, if people are interested, we would ask that registration be done perhaps at least 3 days to a week before that start date, because you will need to complete the first lesson before we meet on July the 7th. And so give yourself that buffer time so that you can get the most out of the first live session. And depending on feedback, we'll explore the face-to-face over the next week or so.
So to clarify with the online dates and times, Module 1 starts on Thursday, July 7th and goes for 7 weeks until August 18th. And Module 2 will be on September 16th to November 4th. Module 3 from January 7th to March 25th. And the 4th module will gather all cohorts to graduate, and it's going to be within April 7th to May 12th. Actually, it's most likely going to be self-scheduling time when you will want to graduate.
They're fairly nicely spaced out, except for this one, we had thought, let's do a summer opportunity for those. And then you would join the other online cohort for M2, and it would just be a bit of a bigger community there. So the commitment, of course, is attending all the live sessions, having a personal practice, both for coaching and for mindfulness. And that way you're able to really integrate these aspects and skills together in a way that really complements your own signature style of coaching. The application process is that, as Davella mentioned, we will schedule an interview together. We will discuss the payment process, then being able to give you a bit of a tutorial about how to access the online learning portal. And, you know, as we were talking about sort of in between the sessions, we're really looking at continuing that learning with peer-to-peer coaching, coaching clinics, and mentor coaching. So there's definitely no lack of support throughout the course of the year. It's just a matter of your own pace and your own interest of pursuing these aspects and really taking advantage of the community that's been established.
Wonderful. And I think that this is all that we have prepared in terms of information.
That's right.
So one thing is that in our you can hear a little bit about even about the content, our coaching approach, and our philosophy on the podcast called the Deep Seat. So it's the Deep Seat podcast for coaches. You can find them on all platforms. You can find the previous episodes also on the website, beijingmindfulnessacademy.com. We use the podcast as a teaching material as well. So you are actually a lot of the content on our online learning, self-paced learning platform is for you to listen to these podcasts and then also to do some practices. There are some videos and there is some reading material, the articles that we wrote based on research. There is information on where for you can go and refer to further bibliography, books if you want to read, and also refer to all the research material that we have used to create and put all this concept together.